all the excitement we had about Jonas in the beginning, and we were also excited of the extreme high level he has, and he had, it has now reached its maximum, I think. And, we have seen the last 3 times that Pogačar attacked, instead of him focusing on Pogačar, he goes and he looks back. 3 times he looks back. Normally you don't do that, so I think today he didn't lose a lot of time. He got saved by his team. Great job by the team. But I think it's just an indication of what we're going to see in the next few days.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every day by Ketone IQ. We're talking about stage 17. Alain, what up?
Stage 17, from Saint-Paul-Trois-Châteaux to Super Dévoluy. From Saint-Paul-Trois-Châteaux to Super Dévoluy.
Now, that was one of the better ones. Special shout out, Johan. And by the way, folks, it took us 2.5 weeks. But we got Johan Bruneel on the show. He's been busy, obviously doing JB Squared and doing Outcomes, which we're going to touch on later. But Johan, thank you for being here.
Great to be here, guys. I missed you.
I know, Johan. We haven't seen you in like over a week.
Missed you too. Johan, you, of course, and George as well, will remember this well. The start town today, St. Paul-Trois-Châteaux. That's why I don't try those pronunciations. We would stay there every year. The tour went through St. Paul-Trois-Châteaux, and we'd stay in the same hotel. Remember, you guys remember Claude, the guy that owned that hotel. It was just I'm guessing he had teams last night. He's such a lovely man.
The best tapenade in France.
Oh, that's tapenade, bro. With the little
bread.
toast. Oh, come on.
Still crave
and
that.
we would have, and oftentimes they would have rest days there, and he would, either the tour would always put us there, or he would ask that we stay there. He was just such a lovely man.
I thought after a while we requested to stay there anytime we were near there. Johan?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But Claude would have cried a river had they given him another team. Yeah. Like, we were very, very close with him. So if you're ever in St. Paul-Trois-Châteaux, then go, what's the name of the hotel? L'Esplan?
Hotel L'Esplan.
L'Esplan. It's so lovely.
Yeah, great hotel.
Today's show brought to you by Hotel L'Esplan. No, okay. Well, Richard Carapaz saves Team EF's Tour de France. Now, we know he had the yellow jersey in the race, which is great. That's I guess you don't leave empty-handed, but that was an exceptional ride. You got to give it to him. He's been trying. He was perfect today. It was a nasty day. It took 120 kilometers / 75 miles for the group to finally go away. We can all, or the three of us, you, me, Johan, and George, can tell you what that's like. It's just disgusting at the start. Just guys, everybody trying. Again, they're all getting yelled at last night because so many teams haven't won a stage. It's miserable. And finally, they let 40 guys go up the road. I mean, imagine that. Like, oh, okay, it's cool. Now there's 40 guys we can sit up, and they do.
43 to be exact.
43.
And 4 ahead of that. So that's not a breakaway anymore. That's a peloton.
Those are 2 pelotons. Before we get into all the action, today's show brought to you by Wahoo. Wahoo bike computers are proven in the peloton, used by 8 World Tour teams, more features than ever, including Wahoo's Summit feature, providing you with colored gradients, detailed climb data, and even helps you detect climbs nearby when you're not using a route. Now, here's the deal. After the show today, George and I are going to go ride Independence Pass. This is a perfect
And I'm tired.
It's long. It's like an hour and a half long. It's a perfect climb to see the route, to see the climb, to see the percentages. Huge advantage.
It's 5% the whole way.
I know, but it just drags on and on and on. Check this out. They also have a new favorite feature, music and GoPro control. Make every ride more engaging by controlling your music directly via your Element bike computer, or capture epic footage via Wahoo's GoPro integration. Again, we will be. Are you bringing the GoPro today?
I got to save my weight, bro. One bottle.
There's one guy coming on the ride that's absolutely going to destroy George. Also, makers of Speed Play pedals. This has been my pedal of choice for the last 12 years. I switched over probably 2012 when I was doing triathlons. Very lightweight, very stiff, super aero. Wahoo cycling products are trusted by the peloton. We do see those Wahoo computers on 8 of the teams in the World Tour. Now you can save 20% off on select full price products by using the coupon code THEMOVE 2024 at checkout. Again, that's wahoofitness.com/THEMOVE. And the code is THEMOVE 2024. That means this year, 2024. THEMOVE 2024. Get you 20% off. Now, also today brought to you by Momentous. Most people know how important a healthy diet is for your brain and body to function at their best day in and day out. We're still often short on the most essential nutrients to be at our best, myself included. My go-tos are Momentous Creatine, Omega-3, and protein each and every day to make sure I'm covering all my bases. Let's talk about creatine for a hot second. Research suggests that creatine is as essential as any other macronutrient for optimal brain and body function. Momentous Creatine is sourced from Germany.
And Momentous, we are out of protein right now, so please send some more ASAP.
Dear Momentous.
We hoovered it all.
Dear Momentous pen pal, please send George more protein. Now, y'all know I've been in the gym hard, training for a bunch of things like High Rocks. I also add in the Momentous protein and Omega-3, which is sourced from Norway, where they know a thing or two about sustainability and fish. Did you know that? I mean, there's a lot of water there, a lot of fish. The daily protocol has become a staple in my health routine and serves as the perfect foundation for all other wellness products in my toolkit. There's a reason why the world's top athletes and experts use and help develop Momentous products. So if you're like me and you want to support your brain and body with supplements made and used by the best, go to livemomentous.com/TheMove and use the code THEMOVE for 20% off all my favorite products. That's livemomentous.com/TheMove. Last one here for a sec. Also brought to you by Roka. All right, Roka has invented a completely new class of eyewear.
I'm gonna wear my gold bling Rokas today on the
gold?
ride.
I've been wondering. That's a great question.
Coatland's gonna be filming. I'm gonna wear the gold bling up in that mountain.
Dear Roka, I love you and I love everything you make. I don't know about them gold shades George wears. Those are.
I only say
remember
for
those last
special
year?
days. Special days.
Dude, he would wear them every day, and you haven't worn them this entire tour.
I haven't. It's because it hasn't been, that meaningful riding with you this last 2 weeks. But today, I'm feeling it.
It hasn't been that meaningful riding with you.
Ouch. The prescription shades they make, AKA the readers, which I'm completely useless without. I've talked about this before. Like, I walk around the house. In this house we're staying in the summer, they don't have switches. They got buttons, and the buttons are labeled. And it's like this real, I can't even turn on a light. How sad is this? I can't turn on a light in the house or turn it off without having my readers. If that's not depressing, dear God. Unbelievably lightweight. You literally forget you're wearing them. They also have, they do have the best optics on the market, and they've got the no slip. So when you sweat like me, they stay on your face. The Move listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, ROKA. That's Roka.com. Use the code THEMOVE. Gets you 20% off. Also from our hometown of Austin, Texas. Yahoo.
What a stage.
What a stage. I mean, I flicked it on and I was like, it was one of these days, we've talked about this, like this tour has been diabolical and it's just catching up. Like you saw, it was George and I commented as we were watching, we're like, this looks like a junior race.
Yeah.
Like they're just people everywhere, disorganized. No offense to you juniors out there, but just disorganized, attacks up the right, attacks up the left. You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's a director's worst nightmare.
Nightmare.
Obviously, they have to have certain guys that they can't let go. Then you have the points classification going on, the team classification. I remember those days quite vividly, and they're very stressful for the riders, for the directors like Johan in the car. Just so much going on, and you the moment you let a group of like 5-6 guys get 30 seconds and they might be dangerous, that's a disaster scenario for any team because then they have to burn some matches. So a very stressful stage from the start, like you said.
And what you saw too, and if you have any insight on this, Johan, chime in after this, but I mean, there were 4 guys away, right? So
4 very, very strong guys.
So you could say, well, all right, why didn't they just let that go? But to our point yesterday, well, there were 4 guys there and 4 teams, one of which was Visma, which probably wasn't getting yelled at in the team bus to say, you have to go on the break and you have to try and win a stage. So that 4-man group, which was housed by great riders, had no chance because now these guys in the back, well, now you're still looking at 10 other teams that are getting barked at saying, how did you miss this 4-man group? And so that's why they were, they bridged across and they created, the larger group. But
then you throw into the green jersey points.
Oh,
yeah.
And so they were motivated to get Guilherme and Philipsen up there, which they did.
well, if you're Guilherme, you don't need to go. I mean, all you got to do is follow Philipsen. I mean, if I can't recall how many total points are available for the intermediate sprints, but if you had 20 guys up the road, you have nothing to worry about. But Johan, what must it be? And we talked about this yesterday. Just these teams not only have they thus far come away empty-handed, they are leaving this Tour de France empty-handed. What you imagine a Mark Matteo in the team meetings in the cars, a decathlon. It's ugh.
It's very stressful for the riders. They're desperate, and today you could see. Once those 4 riders were gone, they kept going, and it was specifically all those teams that didn't have a stage win, like Movistar and Decathlon and actually EF also. I mean, you have to give it to EF today. They absolutely, and especially with Carapaz, I listened to an interview. I don't know if you have that same kind of footage, but I heard Adam Blythe interview Andreas Klier in the car, and they had it all planned out. It was all for Carapaz. They knew that he was strong, that he's growing in this tour, and they just wanted to put him in that group. They said specifically that kilometer 0 is where the intermediate sprint was. That was kilometer 0 for them. That's when the race started.
They also said several times, as we listened to Nielsen Paulus' interview afterwards, several times on the radio, they kept saying, the next 5K, I want you to treat it like it's the last 5K because they weren't in the break. So think about everything that went on. And they clearly went into today's stage with a plan. We're seeing the breakaway being composed of like guys that can win World Cup races, the guys that can win stage races, 1 week long stage races. These are no panic cooking breakaways. And none of that's going to happen for the rest of the tour. It's going to be super, super strong guys. So it's just gonna, guys like Carapaz, what he did today, and I actually just want to play something. Dave, are you ready for me, or do I need to play it from my phone? Bolchki? Phone, okay. So I got to play something back from stage 13 when our boy Wiggo was here, and Johan, you're gonna find this kind of funny.
I actually think that someone who will come to the fore in the 3rd week here is Education First, Carapaz. Yeah, we've seen him a little bit more.
Let's hear what Lance has to say.
You anything you want on that. That's not happening. That is not happening. That's just not. But I don't know. He's looking good. I agree with Sir Bradley.
I agree with Sir Bradley. Okay. I just disappoint.
Well, you know what? I knew.
We got to point out when he's wrong. Okay.
I knew George wasn't even paying attention in the pre-show meeting, but I knew I was getting set up. But hey, here's the thing.
And by the way, Chado sent me that. So thank you, Chad. He clipped it together for us and everything.
Appreciate that, Lord Chad Bourne. So here's the deal. I'm always wrong. And I will admit that I was wrong. Number one. And number two, hey, great for him. I mean, he rode a fantastic race. That was he deserved to win. Now, to Johan's point, there were times they were caught out. I mean, they let 30 guys go up the road at one point, and they had to put the whole team on the front, or what was left of the team that could pull to bring that back. Hey, fantastic ride. I mean, to ride away from a guy, when Simon Yates went, I thought this could work. To then go across to that and drop him, hey man, hats off to him.
I mean, when we were watching early last week, you know how we saw a couple times Ben Healy went back to help Carapaz, and I kind of leaned over to Wiggo and said, why don't they focus on Healy? He seems to be the stronger rider. And he said the same thing that on that clip. He's like, wait till the 3rd week. Carapaz is coming on strong.
And by the way, typically in the last week, Johan, see if you agree with me on this. The guys that you saw in the breakaway today the guys we're going to see pretty much every day moving forward in the breakaway. And these top 10 guys, now they're in the momentum. A lot of these guys haven't won a stage, most of them, and they're going to be in pretty much every breakaway moving forward from now on.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, for those folks at home, we've talked about riders in the past and talked about or used this expression, which is a Flemish expression of pannenkoeken. Pannenkoeken's like a shitty rider. Anybody that's at the front of this bike race, either today or going forward, is no panic cooking. If you have survived these 2.5 weeks and you still have the legs to influence the race and be in the front forever, you are not a panic cooking. Like, this has just been, it's been that hard of a tour, and it for guys to still be in the game and fighting for stage wins and breakaways, and no panic cookings.
Or how about Cavendish just trying to get to Nice to party?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw guys like Gaviria today, Sam Bennett. They can't even hold on to the wheel on a 2-3% grade. I mean, these guys are dead men walking.
On the TV, when they showed the cars going by Sam Bennett, honestly, he might have been going 10 miles an hour. He's that cooked. I mean, I was like, you're not thinking about finishing. I mean, you can't finish within the time if you're going 10 miles an hour. They're just crushed, which is, it's fun to sit on the couch and watch. It'd be terrible to be there. I'm still trying to recover from that getting called out. The other thing Wiggle did highlight, and we'll talk about this after the commercial break, is Jonas looking back, or is now the real race between Jonas Vingegaard and Remco and Van, which we saw play out today. I think that's just a preview of what's going to happen in the next 4 days. Keep in mind, last day is a really hard time trial that it perfectly suits Remco. There could be Jonas Vingegaard is not. He had 2 minutes and I think 9 seconds going into the stage. I need to check where it sits now, but getting second,
he loses 15 seconds today.
He loses 15 seconds, but he just, you could see he's swinging a little bit.
Something that came up on JB Squared that Johan should talk about and explain himself, because I could not explain it well, is how when you go through an injury like Jonas has gone through, you can, you explain it, Johan, but you can recover very quickly, get fit very quickly, but he needs the recovery desperately. So, Johan, please explain.
What I think is what happened is that Jonas had an accelerated program to get ready, race against the clock. You can do that, but you lack a bit of foundation. And usually, when you get into that upward curve in your form, and at some point you reach a plateau where normally, under normal circumstances, you would need a little bit of recovery to then take it to the next level. Yep. Since he's in the tour, that's not possible. So we can see that all the excitement we had about Jonas in the beginning, and we were also excited of the extreme high level he has, and he had, it has now reached its maximum, I think. And, we have seen the last 3 times that Pogačar attacked, instead of him focusing on Pogačar, he goes and he looks back. 3 times he looks back. Normally you don't do that, so I think today he didn't lose a lot of time. He got saved by his team. Great job by the team. But I think it's just an indication of what we're going to see in the next few days. The confidence must be going down a bit. And obviously, Pogačar's confidence is skyrocketing. I have my doubts about his attack today, if he should have done that or not. I don't think it was not necessary.
I want to talk about that.
Not.
I want to save that, because I have when I watched that, I thought, I have thoughts on that. Johan, what I'm hearing you say is, and none of us on this show are exercise physiologists, but this is a real thing, right? You have this, and nobody should ever be put in a position where it's a crash course to try and get ready to win the Tour de France. I mean, it's almost impossible to do. But what is out there and what is known is you have these huge training blocks. You take a little break, whatever that recovery period is, they call that super compensation, right? So then you get this recovery period, and then you get this, and then you can go, then you're, whatever percentage stronger. But he is not allowed this period of super compensation because he's in the Tour de France, and he's having to dig every day, and he had this crash course before, but. I agree with you. I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
We'll get into tomorrow's day, and also we do want to talk about Pogačar's attack, because I have a little personal experience that I can speak from on that. So don't miss that. Today's show brought to you by Ketone IQ. We often hear that fasting and exercise are good for the brain. HVMN launched the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. Ketone IQ delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, focus, and sharpness. 30% off your first subscription order plus a free six-pack when you use the link ketone.com/themove. Also today brought to you by 8 Sleep. Now at this point, I'm sure you've heard of 8 Sleep. Their buzzworthy sleep technology called the Pod can be added to your existing mattress like a fitted sheet to automatically cool down or warm up each side of your bed and in turn improve your sleep quality dramatically. You heard that right, each side. So if you want to be super freezing and your wife wants to be kind of warm, well, you can do all that. So we all swear by the Pod. Today I want to share some exciting news because the Pod just got an upgrade. 8 Sleep has launched their newest generation of the Pod, and that is the Pod 4 Ultra. It cools, it heats, and it now elevates. I'll get to that in a second. Automatically. It's also, check this out, clinically proven to give you up to 1 hour more of quality sleep every night. And for those snore-heavy nights, now we're getting into the elevation. If you're a snorer or somebody in that bed snoring, the Pod can detect the snoring and automatically lift your head by a few degrees and to improve airflow and stop your partner's snoring. Mostly guys snore. So all you wives out there, you can just thank me right now. All right? What if they can turn it on? Like if they're snoring and the wife can just be like, yo, raise his head a little bit. Or does it just do it?
It's automatic.
Yeah. But what if she just wanted to do it anyway? She's like, you hear a little snore first. Anyhow. Head on over to 8sleep.com/themove. Use the code THEMOVE. Gets you $350 off the Pod 4 Ultra. They currently ship to the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Europe, and Australia. Good day. Hey, George, guess who's back?
Who?
Our friends at the Feed are back to keep us hydrated and fueled throughout the Tour de France.
Mosca.
Now, listen, here's the thing about the Feed, and I say this every year. The Feed has been with us for a very long time.
Yes, they have.
And I just kick myself when I think to myself, I say to myself, why didn't I think of this idea?
we both say the same.
I mean, how much do you like eating the same stuff every day? Look, we're 2.5 weeks into the tour, same gels, same juice, same stuff, day in and day out.
Yeah, these guys are going around the Peloton trading stuff right now. It's all about variety right now, for sure.
Well, the Feed is back. For those who don't know, it's the largest online marketplace for sports nutrition, and you can pretty much buy whatever you want.
Yes, I love my single service of everything. I have my, hold up. I got my bag right here with a bunch of goodies in there. We got the honey stinger bars.
Yes,
some of my favorites.
That's a waffle, not a bar.
Or waffle, okay.
Yep.
We got Kaiko protein as well. We got all kinds of stuff. Water bottle. You get fancy water bottles. Vamos. Love it.
All right, so they have some pretty great deals for all 21 stages of the tour, starting with the Tour de France pack, which George was just showing off.
Yep. Mine's got, like I said, I got 10, 11 products. And I got Pillar Magnesium in there, which is great for sleeping, relaxation, recovery, and I love all the Honey Stinger products as well.
All right. So, yes, since I'm better at math than George, that's 11 products for $21. That's about 50% off, and you get the Feed Musette bag and a limited edition Tour de France bottle.
Go to thefeed.com, and you will see your pack. I'm really digging my Musette bag.
Feed.com.
Bradley and I were rolling around town. That was kind of like our man purse, this whole Tour de France. It's like my new thing.
Your Merce.
My Merce. That's right.
Your Merce. Johan, what you want to talk about Pogacar's attack? I suspect you have, as you do on most things, strong feelings. And when you're done, I want to just come over the top.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him attack. Absolutely not necessary. I think the risk compared to the potential benefit is too high. He could distance Jonas a little bit. I mean, the advantage of this attack was the fact that we saw a weakness in Jonas that we haven't seen, in the fact that he was passed by Remco and he couldn't follow Remco. I think that was an indication of what we can see in the next few stages. But if you look at the potential gain, you get to the top of that climb, you have to go the downhill, and then you still have to have that 3-kilometer climb. So, I mean, I think luckily for Pogačar, he was reeled in. And then, he had a teammate, and Jonas had 2 teammates, and Remco could attack. So ultimately, it was a great situation for him, but it was absolutely not necessary. I would not have advised him to do that. Obviously, it's great for the spectators.
Yeah. But I think we all were kind of shocked to see him attack. And like you said, Johan, big downhill, so you got to take huge risks. And then, of course, you got a guy like Christophe Laporte, and Wout van Aert up the road. That, if you put those guys on a downhill in front of you, like nobody can ride away from that. So I agree. None of us understood that attack.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Big mistake. I'm speaking to this from experience. Now, my career, everybody knows my career, right? There was plenty of stuff out there, plenty of curiosity and speculation and accusation. Fair play, right? It's not necessary. He does not. This. Keep in mind, this isn't just a sporting event. This isn't, hey, put the numbers on my back. Where's the start line? Show me the finish line. Yes, it is that, but it's not just that. It is also a political event, right? If there's no need to do that, it's just going to bring more attention to him, and people will see that and say, come on, what are you doing? And if there's any speculation, which I don't follow this stuff, nor do I really care, if there's any speculation out there about him, this will not help. It is not necessary. You're not going to get any friends either in the peloton or in the press room. You're just not. I would advise him, and God love him. God bless him, right? He's a racer. He's got the numbers on his back. He's like, what's the big deal? That's the finish line up the road. I want to get there first. You got to back up a little bit and say, hang on, I also have to manage this story and manage this image. When I saw him go, I was like, oh no, I've been there, man. And I've had people yell at me and tap me on the shoulder before and say, that wasn't necessary. And I'm not talking about matches burned. I'm talking about managing the perception, right? And maybe this is a little too inside baseball, but I feel very strongly about this. No more of those. He's got the Tour de France. All he's got to do is ride. Just stay on his bike, stay within himself. He's got the Tour de France. It's over.
He can't help himself.
I understand. But and by the way, nor could I. Right? Thank you. I couldn't either. I'm like, what are you talking about?
And that's
somebody put a number on my back. Somebody said the finish line is 32 kilometers up the road. Well, shouldn't we all race? It's more than that. It's a political thing, and if that became a thing over time, you'll see the people will turn. The people will look at that. Well, I promise you. They will say, all right, you know what? We've had enough of that. Yeah. They just will. And I'm not nearly smart enough to know why or whatever, but they will turn. You don't need to do that.
Let me ask you this. It
reminds me of that story in 2005 when the race was over. Lance was leading by 10 minutes. Johan and Lance are like, we're going to make these guys suffer on this final climb.
Right. Okay.
And y'all still make fun of me about it, but now Lance just went on a 10-minute spiel about how this is not the right move.
He's a different man.
And, he's a different man now.
Johan, nobody's going to like us if we do this. But you know what? Okay.
We're going to show them who's boss.
Listen. I'm not very smart. I'm just a dumb kid from Plano. But here's the deal. It took me 20 years, or it took less than that, but we're about 20 years on from that day, George.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sitting here today, I look back on that and say, what did we do that for? That was a bad idea, George, being the sage voice and responsible and mature voice that he is. That was the right thing, is to be like, yo, what are we doing? We got a 10-minute lead. Just let somebody go up there. Who cares?
Yeah.
But it's the people are watching and they will turn. And I don't want. By the way, I like to kid.
You've got to listen to those people that tap on your shoulder. Like, who doesn't look back? No, I know, but who doesn't look back on their career at times when I go, God, why did I act like I do it?
Yeah.
In my radio career, I was like, God, I was such an ass at that moment.
Yeah.
I think everybody, maybe George doesn't, but everybody does that at some point. My question is, since Johan is on today, was Johan ever tapping you on the shoulder, or was he in it to crush too?
No, he was no. Johan Brunel was my partner in crime. Some would say literally. No. Johan and I were totally aligned, and neither of us had a voice of reason. But both of us can sit here today. I mean, we just said it. Like, all right,
why?
Don't do that, right? And
well, Lance, I'm going to correct you there. There were a few stages where I told you, don't do this. For example, I told you not to win on Alpe d'Huez in '99, which you wanted to win. I told you not to win. You listened. I told you sometimes not to take the jersey yet because you wanted to take the jersey. I said, think about the team. You listened. So, I took those decisions more in the sporting aspect because I see it as, and this is also why sometimes I don't like these things about Pogačar. It's a 3-week effort. It's not 21 one-day efforts. And you have to always look at it as a whole. And even though he has this advantage now, he has to be careful. Something can happen in those last 3 stages. You have to play it conservatively.
And if you look at the whole, let's remind everyone, it's the double. He's been at it for a couple months.
Yes. And I don't think that's going to happen. I agree that the last 4 days are very, very difficult, especially Friday and Saturday. And Remco is coming. Remco's, look, I might eat my hat on Remco. Right, he's riding a great tour, and they had a great day today.
Yeah, I mean the fact
I think Tade's got it.
Johan, it's a big sign there that after such a difficult stage. I mean, I was just chatting with Bob Jungels, who made the breakaway, and I'm like, bro, was that tactics? Was that tactics or just pure legs? And it's obviously for people that don't understand the dynamics that go into making a breakaway like this. That everybody knows a breakaway is most likely going to make it. There's, like we said yesterday, 10 teams-ish that haven't won a stage, so they're going to go all in, and they know they're going to go from the gun. But the guys like Bob Jungels, they're going to wait. They're going to wait like an hour and just kind of flow and follow the wheels. And after an hour, when everybody's completely dead, that's when they go, and that's what he did today. And he said, we just didn't have the luck, but he had good legs and made the strong breakaway of the day. But who would have thought a breakaway of 43 guys? I mean, we've rarely ever seen that in cycling, go from behind and actually catch up to them. It's just a super interesting, tough stage.
Well, speaking of breakaways, we're going to have another one tomorrow.
Yes.
So let's just look at tomorrow's profile, because it just looks like a saw blade. It really does. Almost 180 kilometers, just up and down all day. Feels like it's getting hotter over there. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 5. Not big climbs, but 5 categorized climbs. I think it's Johan, is 3,100 meters total climbing tomorrow?
It's harder than today. The stage of tomorrow is 3,100 meters. Yeah. Today was 2,800. It's a harder stage than today. Mm-hmm.
And so for you folks at home who think in feet, right? Just go out for a bike ride today. It's 10,000 feet of climbing deep into the third. That's hard. So
it's so hard that you should technically see breakaway go earlier than it did today because of that first category 3 climb, and you'll see a lot of the same guys that were in that breakaway today will be there tomorrow, I'm sure.
If you want to know who's going to win, listen to outcomes.
Yeah.
That's right. Before we get to outcomes, stay tuned, because as we touched on yesterday, here in a little bit, we've got Michael White coming on to talk about his initiative that he unfortunately was thrust into, a nonprofit called the White Line, after the horrific death of his son Magnus. But we'll get to Michael in just a sec. He's here in the studio, by the way. But yes, Johan, right quick, you picked Carapaz. He was plus 600 for the stage today. Nice pick there. I heard a stat that you and Spencer's predictions over the course of the tour so far, you're up 200% in 2.5 weeks. I know y'all at home are like looking at your IRAs and you're buying some T-bills and whatever else. Can we just talk about, plus 200%? The president of Goldman Sachs ought to be shaking in his boots. You're throwing up returns like that.
Yeah, Spencer and I, we do our research, and I have a few inside sources in the peloton also. That's always good to have some information. But some of those stages are difficult to predict. Now at the end of the tour, it's easier because there's only a few guys who can make the break, and even if there's 10 guys who make the break, that 2 or 3 of them. If you look at today, for example, right, you have Carapaz, Grand Tour winner, Simon Yates, Grand Tour winner, Enric Mas, Grand Tour podium. It's these kind of guys who can win these stages now, because if you look at how all these other riders are after the finish, they're just dead, they're crushed. And the next 3 stages is going to be more of the same.
So give us a little, we just looked at tomorrow's stage. I mean, we want people to listen to outcomes, and I know there's a lot, and you may have a different opinion than Spencer, so you're going to have to listen, folks. Who is your pick for tomorrow?
You won't like to hear it, but Ben Healy. Yeah.
I mean,
Ben Healy.
hey, by the way, no. I don't like that team. Is George just? I don't even want to say that. We're journalists.
I don't want to.
No. Hold on.
I don't like it either.
I know,
so.
but listen, we're members of the media, believe it or not, folks, and we are not supposed to say that. So I take that back. But I like this Ben Healy kid. I'm down with that kid winning a stage. Totally. He's aggressive. He's tough. He just never gives up. I love him. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, it's a good pick. He's been riding really well, although I'm not sure he's climbing as good as the other breakaway specialists right now, but it's a good pick.
They're all Cat 3s. They're all
yeah, exactly. It's Cat 3 class.
The 5 categorized climbs are all Cat 3s. It's not that bad. Now, still 3,100 meters at the end of the day, so you got to figure out a way to do some climbing, but they're not Cat 2s or Cat 1s. So, all right, Johan, thanks for coming on. Finally, took us 2.5 weeks to get you on. What have you been doing? You've been just big timing us. I mean, what?
Well, I'm doing JB squared just after you guys. So basically, I'm waiting until you guys are finished. Then so JB is free. Then I'm doing outcomes and I'm doing La Movida. But anyway.
And of course, Johan is responsible for hooking us up with Sir Bradley for the week.
That's right.
Which is also why we did not have him on last week like we normally check in. But that was quite a treat. So.
Well, there for many, many months, Johan was the only person that Sir Bradley would respond to. Like, I'd send him messages like, yeah, WhatsApp says he received it. I guess I'll just wait. Meanwhile, Johan was always getting the guy to respond. And Johan was kept telling him, like, I'll believe it when I see it.
And coming next week, a good, just over an hour interview you did with Sir Bradley, and really understand his story. It's pretty powerful.
Yep. All right, Johan, thank you.
Welcome, guys. Anytime.
Yep. All right, coming right up, we got Michael White.
Michael White, stick around for that. We got to do something real quick.
Trivia.
I know you guys got a lot going on today. Cameras following you up the pass, right?
Can't wait for that.
Put your best face on. Put your best face on. But we are going to give away an NS1 on Sunday to one lucky listener. You can enter every single day. The question yesterday was, Matthew Riccatello is a rising star in the pro peloton. His dad, Jimmy, was also an endurance athlete. What notable event did he win during his triathlon racing career?
Xterra World Championships.
That's right.
Wow. He won quite a few races, but I had a feeling the winning answer would be the Xterra World Championships. Great. He's good on the mountain bike for a triathlete.
Yeah.
And today's question is, what is Egan Bernal's nickname?
Ooh.
Do you guys know that offhand? Look it up.
Actually.
Send your answer to ventumracing.com/themove.
Do you know anybody, because Bernal's Colombian, do you know anybody with Colombian heritage who might know?
I think I would know about his nickname, but...
Then we'll just break?
Yes, we're just gonna take a break, reset here real quick, and come back with Michael White. We'll hold on to these questions for tomorrow.
Yep.
And we'll be right back. Give us 1 sec. All right. Thanks for sticking with us. This is very interesting, especially if you're going to be in the Boulder area and want to participate in something very, very moving. We'll give you details on that at the end of this. But we are now joined by Michael White, who is the father of Magnus White. And it was almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
We're coming up on the anniversary of the unfortunate accident and death of Michael's son, Magnus, a rising star in the sport of cycling. And we were all here, it was right in between the men's and the women's, and we were pretty floored and devastated. But Michael is here to share with us how you're turning it into a positive as best you can. So why don't you start out by telling us a bit about Magnus? Obviously a lot of people in this area, especially in Colorado, knew a lot about him, but we have listeners all over the world. So why don't we start with telling us about him and what's going on today?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on today. I listened to yesterday's podcast when I was driving up, and when you mentioned, George, your son, Enzo, and see these kids in the Tour de France, Magnus was first starting to talk about that.
Right.
Just recently, because he was always focused on dirt. He'd been in 2 cyclocross world championships, and he was getting ready for his first mountain bike world championship when he was killed. So, he's a special kid. He had best friends all over the world. He spent a lot of time over the world. The last year when he was killed, he only spent 2 months at home, which was, that's hard. But for parents, right, to see your kid living his dream, it's awesome, And he was really moving into the road racing world. His last race was the Junior Tour of Ireland. He finished 5th on the GC and just time bonuses was the only difference. And he came home and he had, he wanted to come home. Like he wanted to spend time with his friends. Because he's gone all the time. That morning actually that he was killed, he was invited to go race the Kermesse races in Belgium for 3 weeks after Worlds. And that was his last email was that. Was like, I'm going to take some time off. I need a break. I'm going to race cross season, all that stuff. So he was maturing and he was doing it all himself, so it was really, to see at that age, to see them really kind of become their own person is special. And just, the nightmare we've been living since, we're coming up on 1 year.
Yeah.
We all know it's a criminal trial. It's a felony homicide trial. The trial is December 16th, expected to last 5 days right before Christmas. And that'll be almost a year and a half, since he was killed. And that's just, grief is hard. And, to have that criminal aspect over it just pauses everything. Magnus' death though it was covered by, his story was widely covered. Yeah, 3,300 news articles have been written about Magnus. Yeah. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
As his parents, we asked ourselves, what do we do with this?
Yep.
We sit back and grieve. The world would totally respect that. I don't know if Magnus would. That was his attitude. Wants to get out there and fight. And so that's what, we did. We decided to start this foundation. We didn't know what exactly it was going to be. We knew it was going to be something, but looking at specifically the cases or the aspects that contributed to his death and seeing a lot of the injustices of other cyclists that have been killed and other vulnerable road users that have been killed, that really kind of sparked our initiatives. And so the first initiative is just simple, quick infrastructure changes. We're going to support the large infrastructure changes. Those take decades. The road that Magnus was killed on, there have been plans in the works for now 13 years. Right. By the time it's done, it'll be 16 years.
And the difference, just real quick, the difference between simple and sort of more complicated, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm guessing like a more expensive, more elaborate, complicated fix would be elevated or isolated bike lanes.
Exactly.
We know that infrastructure-wise and expense-wise from either the city, the county, or the state, that's pricey. But even, and we've talked a lot, Michael, about this road, but just rumble strips, just this and by the way, those aren't free, but much simpler than isolated or elevated. And just a reminder to folks, right? Whether you're veering in, and look, we live in 2024, right? And we all ride bikes, that most people ride bikes who listen to this show. And most people that listen to the show drive cars, and in 2024, people are TikToking and emailing and YouTubing or whatever they're doing, and just a simple rumble strip it's just a nudge, a reminder, like, oh, I'm veering into the shoulder, or oh, I'm going into the other lane. It's just this that gets people to wake up. That's and
that would have directly affected,
of course,
Magnus' case, because the driver. She fell asleep. There's reasons why she fell asleep, and that's for the criminal trial. But she fell asleep, and would have that woken her up? Witnesses describe her as swerving.
You know what frightens me about this story? Because when I come out here for this month in Aspen, I have a very false sense of safety because cycling's so popular here. I feel safer on the road than I do in Austin, Texas, and I think about in Boulder's very similar. Yeah. It's a cycling mecca. Yeah. And probably the only city with more infrastructure is Portland.
Right.
So these are, I'm talking about 3 cities who've figured it out for the most part, and there's still a lot to do.
Yeah.
It makes me think about our listeners in other parts of the country that it's even worse.
And it's a very popular route he was killed on. It's a
Right.
2-mile stretch that he has to ride back to get, from one quiet road to the next quiet road, just right outside of town. And we know the Strava stats of people that ride it. It's insane. 3% of all cycling users in that month rode on that, in Colorado, rode on that stretch of highway.
But
Over
it's a
18.
straight road.
Straight road.
So
Middle of the day, 10-foot shoulder.
Straight roads equal danger.
Yeah.
Right. If it's you're going down a mountain or up a mountain and there's switchbacks, it's very difficult to fall asleep. But straight roads just lull people into either in the driver's situation falling asleep, or it even lulls them into getting distracted. And so
Driving fast. Yeah. The road
Yeah.
the road design is terrible. That's an absolutely contributing factor to this.
I love the fact. I want to go back. I love the fact you had a 4.2 GPA. I mean, we don't need to go around the horn and announce our GPAs.
Yeah.
All I will say about GPAs, just a little lighthearted moment, is, and this will probably tell you what my GPA was. I thought 4.0 was the most you could get. I mean, he got more than what I thought you could ever get.
Yeah.
Smart kid.
Yeah, he had to. His first 2 years of high school was in person, but since he was traveling so much, the high school said no, you can't do that. But we have an online version, so he was online school.
Yeah.
But he was taking AP courses, honors courses, wherever they are, right? So he got that credit. So he's doing his school while he was in Europe.
Well, and I think for us, and George, you can speak to this better, like having a son. I mean, George is out here, Enzo's back home training every day. When you're at home, you train with him a lot so you can keep eyes on him. But when you're here, I mean, I don't have kids that ride like that and like Magnus, right? But if I did, and Max Armstrong said, Dad, I'm gonna go for a 5-hour ride, but I mean, I would worry every minute of those 5 hours.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's just it's part of our sport. I'm constantly concerned about it. You see me FaceTiming him all the time, tracking him where he's at. So I can't imagine everything you guys are going through.
Yeah, I track him all the time. So parents do, right?
Yeah.
And I actually saw where he was the minute before he was hit.
And so let's talk about what we can do. I know we've got the ride coming up. I'm sure there's other events planned or other calls to action. I think this is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. I think, again, everybody listening to this show, or most everybody, rides bikes. And that means you're nuts if you're not scared of cars. I'm terrified of cars. And I love it when I got a bike lane. Like here in Aspen, with the JB, to your point, like we have bike lanes everywhere. And if they're right beside a road, even if I've got to dodge strollers or runners or I don't care what I'm dodging. If I'm not around cars on a bike lane, I'm in. Like it's just a peace of mind. And I go out on the bike to rest my mind and to just sort of wander and cruise. And the last thing I want to do is be looking back the whole time. So what other things? I want to talk about the ride because it's August 11th coming up
Very soon.
in Boulder.
Yeah.
Got the governor coming.
We have a lot of
folks coming.
A lot of folks coming because that's one part we want to change. The second thing we want to change is increasing penalties for vehicular homicide for reckless and careless driving for injuring or killing somebody. It's a class 4 felony in Colorado, punishable by a maximum of 2 to 6 years. That's all this driver is going to face, if it even goes to that level. I just made a quick list here of other class 4 felonies in Colorado: 3rd-degree burglary, identity theft, theft of property, 2nd-degree criminal trespass, violating a custody order, abuse of public records, forgery, fraud by check, indecent exposure, and this one is the greatest one: criminal tampering with a utility meter to evade payment.
Wow.
Same level as vehicular homicide. So we want to increase penalties for vehicular homicide.
Just a heads up.
Yeah, to not as put people in jail. It's a deterrent.
Just give them a heads up.
Right, like if you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
Yeah. And
On both sides.
Yeah, and the last thing that we're working on, since Magnus got so much attention on his death, there's a documentary crew following our process since early on.
Yeah.
And we've followed us throughout the trial, but we've actually released 2 episodes now. One was just last week about other cyclists who were killed across the country. First one was about Christian and Michelle Deaton.
The Nike folks.
Out of Napa who were hit and killed. They both died instantly.
Yeah.
And then We released one last week about a bicycle shop owner named Michael Shipp. He was killed in Manning, South Carolina last year, and his son had reached out to me on the 1-year anniversary. So we released that last week. The injustices that family is facing you can't even describe what they're facing and how they've been treated by the investigation and the police and the whole legal system. So, yeah, ride for Magnus, ride for your life.
Yeah.
We want this to be, it's important to have this ride on the first year. We were convinced of this. This was not initially our initiative. We were approached by a lot of people have been helping us, a lot of organizations, a lot of individuals, a lot of professionals. And we were initially hesitant because it's emotional, right?
Well, you're going past the site.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
we're closing all the roads in Boulder.
I'm just, time out as a dad. I could not, I'm just telling you, I just could not do that. So kudos to you and strength to you that, so I hear I can imagine that you would be reluctant.
I used to go out there for the first 2 or 3 months, every week, every Saturday, 12:30 when he was hit. Then I realized it's not where he is, right? And so now I just go out there to maintain it really like once every 4 to 6 weeks, just to make sure the bike and the flowers and whatever's out there is looking. And we have American flag out there because he was killed in his Team USA kit. And a lot of people have sent us American flags, in really nice letters. So we make sure it just looks really nice. Ride, though, we want 4,000 people in person. That's I love hearing that. Yeah, it's awesome. That's what State Patrol says. We cap it at 4,000 in person. We're like, great. Let's go bigger. That's miles and miles long. Right. We're shutting down the whole city. The whole highway is being closed for this, complete closure. There's a virtual ride as well, so you can be anywhere in the country. We're mailing some stuff to Sweden, some number plates. Some people all over the world are doing this. I think someone in the UK is registered to do it.
Let's talk to our friends at Zwift.
Yeah,
they're doing virtual rides all the time.
Yeah, there's a walking option as well on the CU campus. But the ride is 13.5 miles, so it's not short, but it's pretty flat. And at the end, there's a big rally for change. And this is where we're introducing our legislative asks for coming up in 2025. And those are going to be around automatic emergency braking, a national level ask, in all new cars in the next 5 years. They're doing it for pedestrians. They're not doing it for cyclists. And so we want them to do it for cyclists. We know cars are going to be much smarter than they are right now.
Yep.
So you're not going to get this weird phantom braking that you get now with some of that automatic driving stuff. So we want that in all cars. And on a state level, we are going to ask for the increased penalties on the state level. That has to be done on a state level first. Right. Magnus really seems to be this. He was the glue actually in our family. He was a glue amongst his friends. And he seems to be right now this glue amongst all sorts of groups, advocacy groups, national level, I don't even know what they're called, transportation agency, lawmakers, DAs. They're all want to be a part of what we're doing because they want change as well. And so Governor Polis is speaking. We've done one press conference with him already. The head of federal highways is coming in to speak, Shailene Bott, and Trek President John Burke is coming in. And I know he's very much on the advocacy front.
But real quick on the films, I just want to make sure people know where to go also to watch the films.
The films are all on our website, thewhiteline.org.
Whiteline.org.
We also all post...
thewhiteline.org.
Yes, thewhiteline.org.
I want to be clear about thewhiteline.org if you want to see those two films.
And our Instagram is where we post all our updates, about what we're doing, and that handle is thewhiteline.foundation.
At thewhiteline.foundation?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give that a follow.
Give
that a follow.
And I'm assuming for our listeners who are not going to be able to participate in Boulder, but would like to contribute, thewhiteline.org is the place to do that.
Absolutely, right. And they could register too,
and do the virtual.
We send them everything that the in-person riders get. And it's free. That's the biggest thing. We're putting this on. We're covering all the costs. It is free.
Right.
So there's no reason for people not to do it.
Yeah. So this is a rally. This is important.
Yeah.
This is not. Yeah, folks. We're not going out and field sprinting here. This is
a somber ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't want it to be a sad ride, if that makes sense, right?
Yep.
Because we want a clear call to action to come out of this for people to get on the phone with their legislatures, because we have now until the end of the year to get all these legislatures behind us, because the cycle and the legislation starts January 1 to May 1.
You know, we get so many questions. It's every year. We get a lot of questions about Americans racing in Europe, Americans in the Tour. Where's the Americans? Where's the Americans? How many Americans? There are 3 Americans in this summer's Tour, which is low for us, but with 3 good ones, it's low. But hey, we got 3 good ones. And I mean, this is, you know, Magnus was a huge talent, right? So for those who say, well, where's the young man? Now we're starting to see them come up and come through. But he was going to be on this stage, right? I mean, you have to imagine. I mean, you look at his Palmares, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, he was national champion on the U.S. national team.
And he was a good kid. Because you can have all the talent in the world and be a bad kid, you don't make it.
Yeah.
And you can be a great kid with no talent and you also don't make it. But he had
it up here too.
Yes, right. So you got to be clever to find your way to the top of the sport. So for those folks at home, like wondering where the Americans are, this should resonate, right? And it should also remind you that we see it in when the roads are closed, right? This dangerous sport. But that's 1 or 2% of people's time, guys and gals' times when they're in the races that we see on TV or read about in the press. The rest of the time is spent out there on the open roads. It's a big deal. It's a really, I'm just speaking personally, like,
it can happen to anybody.
Yeah, of course.
And we're talking milliseconds.
Seconds. I knew we talked about this in Boulder.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
I mean, if it just
quarter-second difference, Magnus would be 11 feet ahead. He was going 30 miles an hour and he was hit.
Yeah.
And
or
we all
behind, whatever it is, right? Like, he would be alive.
We all know how collectively this cycling community all across the country takes their training and their performance so seriously. Why can't we all just put a little bit more time into safety and advocate safety? So it's great what you're doing, and I'm all for it. And if anything I could do personally with my circles, I'd love to help.
Thank you. And we want to do things differently. You know, we are partnering with all the big advocacy groups, People for Bikes, Bicycle Colorado, League of American Cyclists, all that. They're our partners. But we are parents of Magnus, and we can say things and do things that those groups can't.
Of course.
Right? And basically it's like, we're not here to fuck around, right? We're going to...
You're fitting right into the show, by the way.
We want to drive shit.
Welcome. You've got some Move DNA in there, yeah, Michael.
You know, we want to channel the anger of people, right? Like, because this is not just about cyclists. This is pedestrians too,
right?
Yeah, like, this is all vulnerable road users. Yeah. I mean, there's 46,000 cyclists were hit last year.
46,000?
Yeah. So, yeah.
What is that divided by 365?
Yeah, that's just the U.S.
That's
right?
Let me. I can't do that math, but let me do it weekly. That's close to 1,000 a week.
Any one of those could be a death.
Of course, dear God.
Approximately 67,000 pedestrians were hit. 7,000 pedestrians were killed. That's almost 18% of all car-related deaths. So includes cyclists. 20% of all car-related deaths include vulnerable road users. Like, we have to change this. We have to change our culture.
Well, let's get after it.
Yeah,
let's do it. It starts. Well, I'm telling you when it's going to start. It's going to start August 11th.
Yeah, 4,000 riders.
Ride for Magnus. Ride for your life. August 11th in Boulder. TheWhiteLine.org.
That's registration is. Yep.
Yep. Or otherwise on the IG at TheWhiteLine.Foundation.
Yeah. The White Line. White Line. There's somebody else.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Y'all you social media experts out there. First of all, put down your social media when you're driving, and when you're done, when you put your car in park, then just search in Instagram or all these things. Just search The White Line, you'll find it. So, Michael, thank you. Cannot be easy to. I can only imagine, or rather, I can't to come on and talk about it. So, thanks for making the journey. It's been cool to connect with you and just hear your story. And you're so passionate, which. Yeah, you got some tough days coming up as your new friend. You've got the 11th, you've got the trial, then you got think about that the ride, the trial, and then Christmas. Like, holidays are always rough for the most compromised, and this is a compromised situation. So, Godspeed, and we'll do anything we can do to help. TheWhiteLine.org.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, everybody. Well, that was heavy, and it was, man. We're all parents here, right? The three of us how many we got? 3, 8, we had 9 kids up here, right? So no grandkids, but it's tough. We love bikes. We love kids. We love American talent. This story touched on all of them. So thanks for listening to that. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all tomorrow. This Tour de France is almost over. See you.